Okay, back again. Another episode of A Muslim and an Atheist Breaks Bread.
Right, son.
Back again. Another episode of A Muslim and an Atheist Breaks Bread. What you saying, Pops?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
As always.
Looking good in your Making Change hoodie. These are going to be available very soon for anyone who wants to support the cause so we can keep this channel going. Please like, comment, subscribe, share as well. Or just don't watch it if you think we're chatting shit. Either or, we're still going to do it anyway. So, basically, this has been, someone's commented for us to watch this. Who Am I? By Swami. Again, I think this is another Hindu yogi. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the last guy we did, Sanguru. I think they'll have the same ilk, but like him, I don't know anything about this guy. So again, we're going into this video blind. We just hope it's going to teach us something. Some lessons that we don't know. Have you heard of this guy, Pops?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
But there's a
not.
few. They would have gurus and people who kind of know stuff. They always kind of skirt around the edge of stuff. But there's a few of them,
So basically, you think like the gurus. Hold on one second, let me just adjust this. Just because you're a bit taller than me. You got about 6'7" height, so basically, you think the gurus don't really say anything. You think they generalise and.
well, what they're gonna say?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Absolutely, like I said, yoga. People do yoga. It does something to them apparently, but what it does, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, well let's find out. We'll watch with an open mind anyway, yeah? Mm-hmm. As we do. Mm-hmm.
So far, we have seen Kripaluji Maharaj said there is one divine entity. Our Vedas are very clear. Ekameva dvitiyam brahma. Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti. Ekam santam bahudha kalpayanti. There is one entity. However, the Vedas also say that there are two entities. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parikhasvajate tayoranyah pippalam swadvatya nashnan nanyo abhijakashiti. The Vedas say there is a tree. On the tree are two birds. One bird is eating the fruit of the tree. The other bird is watching, not interfering. The first bird, sometimes when it tastes a bitter fruit, it becomes unhappy. When it tastes a sweet fruit, it becomes joyous. The other bird is a friend of the first bird, but does not interfere, only notes the karmas. This verse has come in the Mundak Upanishad. It is there in the Shvetashvatar Upanishad as well. It states, the tree is this body. In this body, the first bird is the Atma, the soul. The second bird is the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. The Atma is tasting fruit in the body. These are the fruits of past karmas. If a good fruit comes, the Atma becomes happy. If a bitter fruit comes, the Atma becomes miserable. The Paramatma, the second bird, is a friend of the first bird. But he doesn't interfere. He just keeps watching and noting. Again, the same Upanishad, the next mantra says, what is the solution to this problem? Samane vrikshe purukho nimagno nishaya shochati muhyamanaha jushtam yada pasyatyanyamashya mahimanamiti bita shokaha. The Shvetashvatar Upanishad again says, if...
What's the problem?
What do you mean, what's the problem?
He says, what's the solution to this problem? So he told the story about the birds.
Yeah,
and then he's, gone into... It's
think,
a representation of man.
I think the problem is that one bird's watching whilst the other one is continually eating bad karma, so going on ups and downs. I'm unsure, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure out the two birds bit. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
I see it as, right, you remember initially he said there was one ultimate entity, but then there's two ultimate entities,
yes,
and this
that's
is the explanation of the
yes.
two entities now. So they coexist.
Coexist, yes.
One takes part and one observes, but they
yes.
coexist. But, alright, I understand that, but it says, so the answer to this problem, I just don't understand what's the problem.
Well, we'll find out. I guess. Because I was thinking at the start where he said there's one supreme divine entity. Then he went, but it also says there's two. That kind of threw me off, I'm not going to lie, because I was thinking, okay, so why is there two? And then when he was explaining the bird story to us, I didn't quite understand, again, like you say, the problem or the purpose of the two entities. Like, what's the purpose of the entity that's just watching, noting karmas? Is that meant to be like, are we meant to be the bird on the tree?
The tree is us.
So we're the tree. So we're the fruit.
And the bird is
God.
The soul.
Okay.
So you have an inner soul and an outer soul. And the inner soul is the bird that eats, and the outer soul is the note taker. But the two souls are friends. This is where we're up to. But then he says, so what's the answer to the problem? But I still don't know.
What's the problem?
What's the problem?
Alright, let's watch it. Let's see what.
If the first bird just turns around towards its friend, all its problems will be solved. In other words, the soul has its back to God. And what it needs to do is to turn around towards Him. So the Ved mantra is very clear that there are two entities, the Atma and the Paramatma. But there are other Ved mantras that are stating that there are three entities.
Buzz.
Okay, so actually his answer did make it more clear.
Well, I didn't know where the problem came from. He answered something, but I'm not sure there was a question for what he answered.
Basically, what he's saying is that in Hinduism or Santana Mandama, they believe that there's us and God. They're the two divine entities, essentially. Yeah. So your soul and then God. Now, the soul is eating the fruits. Now, that's making it happy, sad, happy, sad. But if that soul basically
Just
finds God,
God,
has a relationship with God, it wouldn't need to eat the fruit, basically. And I guess what he's trying to go on to is that, like, karma. Once you've kind of reached that ultimate relationship with God and your karma is good, you'd probably only get good fruit, and then you're gonna escape that cycle. So basically, just talking about having a close relationship with God.
But it starts with there's a ultimate entity. It starts with it says there's an ultimate entity, and it says there's two entities. So is that same ultimate entity the same one when it's you is a part of the entity?
I don't know.
Why are there one and then there's two? And if there's one, we're talking about the entity, or
well, it says there's one divine entity at the start.
One divine entity.
Yeah,
then it says there's two.
Yeah,
right.
Is that just
the first bird just turns around towards its friend? All its problems will be solved. In other words, the soul has its back to God. And what it needs to do is to turn around towards Him. So the Ved mantra is very clear that there are two entities, the Atma and the Paramatma. But there are other Ved mantras that are stating that there are three entities. Ksharam pradhanam amritaksharam hara ksharatmana vishate deva ekaha tasyabhidhyanad yojanat tattva bhavad bhuyaschante vishvamaya nivrittihi. There is one kshar tattva. Kshar means perishable. So what is perishable? The material energy. Everything in the world perishes. And there is one akshar, imperishable. What is that? The soul. And there is one Ish, Lord of both Kshar and Akshar. By knowing these three entities, one can cross over the material energy. So here, in this mantra of the Shvetashvatar Upanishad, three entities are being talked about. Ajam ekam lohit shukla krishnam vahvih praja srijamanam sarupa ajo hyeko jushamano nushete jahattena bhukta bhogamajonyah. The mantra says there are three tattvas. One is Aj, the second is Aj, and the third is Aja. What does Aj mean? Janma. In other words, eternal. So God is eternal. The Jeev is also eternal. And Maya is Aja, also eternal. The material energy has existed ever since God has existed. So these three entities are eternal and will always remain. The Vedas are talking about three entities. Etajgeyam nityamevatma sanstamnata param veditavyam hi kinchit bhokta bhogyam preritarancha matva sarvam proktam trividham brahmametat. Again, the Upanishads are saying there is one Bhogya Brahma, one Bhokta Brahma, and one Prerak Brahma. Bhogya Brahma, what you enjoy, the material energy. Let me squeeze some more pleasure out of it. That is the goal of the soul. How to do bhog of the material energy Maya. So this is Bhogya Brahma. It's also Brahma. And the Jeev is Bhokta Brahma. And their Lord, the Prerak Brahma, is Bhagavan. So Sarvam Proktam Trividham Brahma Metat. By knowing all three, you can reach your goal. Again, the Vedas are saying there are three entities. So how come in some places the Vedas said there is one entity? Then they said, no, there are two entities. Then they said, no, there are three entities. Kripaluji Maharaj is explaining in this verse. He says these two entities, Jeev and Maya, they are the Shaktis of God. They are the energies of God. Just like the sun is the energetic and it possesses energies. What are the energies of the sun? The heat and the light. So, these energies are one with the sun. That is why people say, Swamiji, the sun has come through the window, you sit down there. Sit in the drawing room, the sun has come. The sun has come into your drawing room? If the sun comes in the drawing room, will we remain? The temperature on the surface of the sun is 1 million degrees centigrade. So we are going to evaporate very soon if we are going to be there. But the point is that the sunlight is considered non-different from the sun. And that is why when the sunlight has entered through the windows into the drawing room, in speech we say the sun has come. So, similarly, this Maya and Jeev are Shaktis of Bhagavan. Narad Ji Maharaj, he is the Guru of the celestial Devatas. That's why he is called Devarshi. Narad Ji in his Pancharatra says, Ekadesha sthitasyagnir jyotsna vistarini yatha parasya brahmanah shaktis tathedam akhilan jagat. He says, just like the sun is in one place in the solar system, but by its light, it illuminates the entire 8 planets, although it's in one place. Similarly, there is one supreme divine entity. By his innumerable energies, he is pervading and inhabiting all of creation. The Kripaluji Maharaj is talking about Jeev as a Shakti and Maya as a Shakti. And then he is saying there is a third Shakti of God as well. What is that? Yogamaya. Yogamaya is the divine Shakti. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavritah. Arjun, although I am seated within you, I am not perceptible by anyone. Even the doctor who puts the stethoscope to the chest cannot perceive me sitting inside, because I keep myself hidden with the help of my Yogamaya. The Yogamaya is his divine, all-powerful energy. Kripaluji Maharaj says, look, the Shaktis or energies of God are infinite. Everything about God is infinite. His forms are Anant. His names are Anant. His abodes are Anant. His devotees are Anant. Yova anantasya gunanananta nanukramishyan satubala buddhi. In the Bhagavatam, Vedvyas writes, in the second verse of the 4th chapter of the 11th canto, that one who thinks he can count the infinite divine attributes of God has got a childish intellect. Rajansi bhumer ganayet kathanchit kalena naiva khila shakti dhamnah. One may succeed in counting the specks of dust on the crust of the earth. That impossible may become possible, but the innumerable qualities of God, nobody can count. That is why one name for Bhagavan in our Vedas is Anant. Anantaschatma Vishvarupo Hyakarta. So, God's Shaktis are also infinite. But the problem is that the human brain is finite. And the human brain can only understand so much. That is why, to explain things to us, these acharyas have simplified that immense knowledge and presented it to us in such a way that we can grasp it. I am reminded of a story of Naradji. He came to our earth planet and he went to a village in India. He found a Vedic scholar. Now the Vedic scholar was reciting mantras. And Naradji came, the scholar was delighted. He said, Aiye, aiye, Devarshi, please come and be seated. He washed the feet of Devarshi, did his arti. Narad said, do you want anything? The scholar said, Maharaj, you go and meet Narayan in Vaikunt. Next time you go, please ask him, when will I get liberated from the material energy? Naradji said, it's a small thing, I'll do it. After that, Narad went to a cobbler. The cobbler was stitching somebody's shoes. When he saw Narad, he also was overjoyed. Narad, of course, Narayan. That's what he does in the movies. What he actually does, I don't know. So Narad came along. And this mochi also welcomed him and washed his feet. He said, I am blessed. My whole hut has been sanctified today with your presence. Narad said, do you want a boon? Maharaj, your gati. You have the ability to go to Vaikunt and meet Narayan. Next time you meet him, please ask him, when will I attain God realization? Narad, from there, he went to Vaikunt. Narayan said, Naradji, how are you doing? Narad said, Maharaj, I am in great bliss in your devotion. So, Naradji, where did you go today? Maharaj, I went to a little village in Bharatvarsh. So, whom all did you meet? Maharaj, I met a Vedic scholar and a cobbler. They both were curious to know when they will attain you. Narad said, tell the scholar that it will take him as many lifetimes as there are leaves in the tree in his courtyard. And tell the cobbler that this is his last life. Narad said, Maharaj, this doesn't make any sense. The cobbler is stitching shoes. And the scholar is reciting Ved mantras. Narayan said, when you meet them again, they are going to ask you, what was Narayan doing? Tell them that Narayan was stringing an elephant through the eye of a needle. He was taking the elephant through the eye of the needle. You will understand the answer I have given. Narad, with that message, first went to meet the Vedic scholar. The scholar said, Maharaj, did you have darshan of...
What do you think that means? Tell them I'm threading an elephant through the eye of a needle.
My man
means
full of knowledge, but hasn't got the X factor, I guess. Whereas the man who is just doing his thing is, blessed, more pious.
Right, okay.
So the man who's striving has not attained it yet. and maybe the man who not striving already attained it. Let's hear the story.
Narayan. Naradji said, yes, I did. What was he doing when you met him? Naradji said, he was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. The scholar started laughing. Maharaj, you think I am such a fool that I'll believe something like this? I have also got some sense up here. How can anybody, even a string to be passed, you have to put on your glasses and try 5 times before it goes? How can an elephant go through? What did he say about my liberation? Narad said, now he understood. He said, Narayan said, it's going to take you as many lifetimes as there are leaves on the tree in your courtyard. From there, he went to meet the cobbler. The cobbler again welcomed him. Maharaj, did you go to Vaikunt? Narad said, yes, I did. What was Narayan doing when you met him? Narad said he was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. The moment the cobbler heard, he started dancing, Jai Ho, Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Narad said, you believed? Can God take an elephant through the eye of a needle? That illiterate cobbler, he said, Maharaj, my God is such that from a little seed, he manifests this huge banyan tree. When God can do so much, what is the difficulty for him to take an elephant through the eye of a needle? The fact is that God is kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum samarthaha. He can do the proper things, the contradictory things, and both of them simultaneously. So, to limit God to the level of our intellect, I can understand him to be so much, is not a very complete definition of God. Hence, Kripaluji Maharaj is writing here that the Shaktiman has got infinite Shaktis. But in order to grasp it, just divide them into these 3. One is Maya, one is Jeev, and one is Parashakti. The Vishnu Puran says the same thing. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetragya Kya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Sangyangya Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the same thing. Krishner Ananta Shakti Tate Tin Pradhan. Chit Shakti, Maya Shakti, Jeev Shakti Nam. Antaranga Bahiranga Tatastha Karivare. Antaranga Swarup Shakti Savare Upare. So after explaining that there are these 3 main Shaktis, Yoga Maya, Jeev and Maya. Now let's see what he talks about in regard to the Jiva Tattva. Verse number 4. Jiva tatastha Shakti par Maya kar adhikar radhe radhe. Jiva tatastha Shakti par Maya kar adhikar radhe radhe. Vastutastu yah das hai Swami Nanda Kumar Radhe Radhe. Vastutastu yah das hai Swami Nanda Kumar Radhe Radhe. Now he is explaining the relationship of the Jeev, the soul, with the Paramatma. What is our relationship with the world? It's a temporary relationship.
Just before we get to this second, Shakta, or whatever it's called, sorry, can't remember. But what did you think of the first one? With regards to the belief in God and how we can only we actually mentioned this on the last podcast, actually, we did with Caleb, and how people have to rationalise things. So I guess giving God human
attributes,
abilities or attributes allows them to rationalise,
comprehend.
But it is true as well. I also do think there's a thing where he's talking about it's weird for people to even say that they know what God thinks or what God wants or God's powers
Relationship.
or
One day we will leave it.
Because
everybody.
I'm just missing the video. Yeah, so I think that story in itself shows only like there's people who can act like they're pious or who think they're pious, not act, but really they're doing something. Like the scholar, he was doing something to attain something, and where the cobbler was just basically living a good life. There was really no, I'm trying to attain this out of it.
If I was to view that in the Islamic perspective, I would say was in submission, because as him hear anything about God, him celebrating and praise, nothing is too great and anything. But the other man was questioning, so that would be like Thomas amongst the disciples who didn't believe that Jesus did raise from the dead and all those kind of things.
The doubt.
Doubting Thomas. That's, you know, so him striving for it, but him don't believe it.
Yeah.
One day we will leave everybody and go away by ourselves. Today we heard in Maharaji's lecture in the morning that when we leave, we will have to make this last journey by ourselves. So all these temporary relationships will come to an end. And with God, we have a permanent relationship. What is our relationship with Him? He is our eternal Father. Some people look on Him as the eternal Mother. And the Vedas also say, Amritasya vai putra. O soul, you are the child of God. Aham bijam prajapita, Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. I am the seed-giving Father. So He is our Father, we are His little children. Agreed? Yes. But there's a problem here. If we are the children of God, then we should be like God. From a human being is born. From an elephant is born. From a horse is born. You don't find horses taking birth from elephants, and humans taking birth from horses, and elephants taking birth from humans. Like father, like son. If we are God's children, we should be like Him. He is Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva.
The problem with that is you've just told me that God can pull an elephant through the eye of a needle. So if He wanted to birth things that weren't Him, He could birth. And again, if you're God, well, I don't know what He's going to say, to be honest. He could go on to this, but everything on this planet would be birthed by God, right? So we as humans would be the children of God, but so would the animals. Surely, the trees would be birthed by God. Everything would, because He created everything. So every single thing on this planet is a child of God. So should we be like God? Maybe God like a cow or a monkey or something. You know what I mean? So it goes kind of, I don't know, we'll see where it goes with it.
Sarvadrishta, Sarvantaryami, Sarvaloka Maheshwar. And we souls are alpagya. We have this little knowledge, ashakt, we are under maya. We are being afflicted by trigun, tritap, tridosh, panchaklesh, panchakosh, all the maladies of the material energy. Then how come we are his children? Actually, Sri Krishna has said in the Gita, Mamaivansho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Arjun, the soul is not a child of God in the manner as in the world from a father and mother a child is born. Then the soul is a fragment of God. Ansh. Because the soul is a fragment of God, it is considered child of God. Like you can say the earth is a child of the sun. It's a little fragment. Or you can say a little rock is a child of the mountain. So in the same way, the soul is a fragment of God. Ansho nana vyapadeshat, the Brahma Sutra says, Ansh, a fragment. Chinmatram Sri Hareransham, the Vedas say. The soul is a tiny bit, a little drop of the ocean. Ishvara Ansha Jiva Avinasi Chetana Amala Sahaja Sukharasi. The Ramayana also signs it. So now our relationship with God has become more clear. What is our relationship with Him? We are His tiny little fragments. So far so good. Does it make sense? But there's still a problem. If we are little fragments of God, then is God like some boulder who was hit with a hammer and he got fragmented? Then, Microsoft has this defragmentation feature. Possibly you could defragment the souls back into God. And if God got fragmented in this manner, then he became less than before. In what way is the soul a fragment of God? The Paramatma Sandarbh says, Nacha tankachinna, na pashana khandavat tacchinnastat khando jivaha. The soul is not a fragment in the way a boulder is fragmented. Then the soul is the Shakti of God. The soul is an energy of God. Because it is an energy, in manner of speaking, you can say it is a fragment of God. Like the material energy is an energy of the Supreme. Yogamaya is also a Shakti of that Shaktiman. And the soul is also a Shakti. Shaktitve naivan shatvam vyanjayati. The Paramatma Sandarbh says. So, what is the nature of this Shakti? Kripaluji Maharaj says, it is tatastha. Now we are going to get a little philosophic. So be prepared. Tatastha means it is a borderline energy. There is one Bahiranga Shakti, external energy. That is Maya. Because God is Chetan, sentient. Maya is Jad. So it's a Bahiranga, external energy of God. And then there is the internal energy of God, which is Yogamaya. Yogamaya is Sarva Samarth, all powerful, just like God is all powerful. So the soul Is it a part of Maya Shakti? It cannot be. If the soul was a fragment of the Maya Shakti, the soul would have been Jad, insentient like Maya. Now, supposing I say that Shanil, you're sitting just like the dholak. Shanil will say, Swamiji, what kind of simile have you given here? Don't compare me with the dholak. The dholak is insentient and I am sentient. So, the soul is sentient. It is not a part of Maya Shakti. Is the soul a part of Yoga Maya? If we had been a part of Yoga Maya, we would have been Sarva Samarth, like Durga, Sita, Kali, Lakshmi. We would also have been Sarva Samarth. So we are not a part of Yoga Maya either. Then we are in between. We are sentient. We have consciousness, but we are tiny. Just like there is the sun and a little spark. The sun will not get extinguished, but the spark can get extinguished. So because we are Anu, tiny, the material energy has overpowered us. The Kripaluji Maharaj says, Tatastha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said the same thing. Krishne Tatastha Shakti, Bheda Bhed Prakash. Jeev is the borderline energy and Bheda Bhed, simultaneously one and different. So, we are tiny and hence, because we are Anu, the material energy Maya has overpowered us. Consider this analogy. It is night outside. Now put light lamps all over. Yesterday there was a lot of fireworks going on. When we were going back, we saw the fireworks, right? But did the night disappear? Despite the fireworks, it did not disappear. And suppose the stars are also there in the sky. It's a cloudless night. Now, will the night go away? It will still not go away. And suppose it's a full moon night. The moon is in the Sola Kala, complete full. All these together don't have the ability to remove the darkness of the night. Rakapati Shodashuahi Tara Gana Samudaya Sakala Girinha Davalaya Ravi Binu Ratanajaya. Tulsidas Ji Maharaj says, Ravi Binu Ratanajaya. The moment the sun rises, the night has disappeared. You may not be able to see it. It's a cloudy morning. Even without being able to see it, the sun has still made the night vanish. So like the sun is God, and like the little star is the soul. Hence Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hoy andhakar. Yaha Krishna taha Maya nahi adhikar. Krishna is like the sun, Maya is like darkness. Where there is Krishna, Maya cannot reach. And moment Krishna is gone, then the material energy Maya overpowers us. So originally, we are supposed to be as the Shakti of God. What is the work of the Shakti? What is the Shakti supposed to do? The Shakti is supposed to serve the Shaktiman. The Shakti has got only one purpose, to serve the Shaktiman. And hence our original nature is servant of God. Not only our nature, the nature of everything in creation. Dasabhutamidam tasya jagat sthavara jangamam Sriman Narayana Swami Jagatam Prabhurishvaraha. In the Padma Puran, Vedvyas writes, Das Bhutamidam Tasya Jagat Sthavara Jangamam. Every living entity and non-living item, they are all servants of God. Some of them know it and some of them don't know it. So originally we are supposed to be a servant of God because we are His Shakti. But the problem is that we are under the material energy Maya. And in this illusion, the attitude of serving has not gone. Only problem is now we are serving Maya. Somebody is Joru ka gulam. There is that story about Akbar, right? Akbar said that Birbal, he announced in his court that all of my ministers, whichever of them is not Joru ka gulam, not a servant of his wife, tomorrow they will stand on this side and all the others will stand on this side. So the next day everybody came and stood on this side. They are all servants of their wife. She is the high command, and one person came and stood on this side. So Akbar said, you are not a servant of your wife. He said, actually I am, but she asked me to stand on this side. See, the wife is serving the husband. You are serving your children. You are serving your boss. The boss says your job is in danger and you need to work harder. So from morning to night, you're serving your boss. You are serving Ericsson and Samsung and all these people, right? So we are all doing service of the material energy Maya. But originally, we are all servants of God. So much of knowledge Kripaluji Maharaj has put in this verse. He is now going to tell us why the soul has come under Maya. And having come under Maya, what is the condition of this soul? So that we will hear tomorrow. Let's do a little Naam Sankirtan.
For me,
what do you think?
You know, I have the same problem with translation. The translation means translate into one language anyway. Why do the Muslim sheikhs do it? And I said before, I don't really like that. If you're gonna read in English, read in English. You can't just be chopping and jumping in. Obviously, you've memorized, that's your job, but at this point, you're a translator. You know, why is it half?
Isn't that what he's doing now? Because surely he's reading the verse in Sanskrit or Hindi, the language, yeah? And then he's translating it in English after it. And then giving you the antidote or...
But then he uses lots of, you know...
Antidotes.
If he's going to say soul, why does he need to use the same Sanskrit word for soul every time? But he had to say soul anyway. Every single time. So he's using words from the original language. But
what was you preferring to?
Specifically, he's doing it all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't get what's wrong with that.
I don't like that. They should just speak in English all the way through.
But he's not English, so why should he speak
How do you know he's not English?
I'm going to assume he's not English.
He can speak English, right?
Yeah, but why... Isn't that good for you to know? Isn't that like your kind of willingness to learn?
Learn what?
Rather than what you're saying? Like parts of their language or... Because I know you don't like it. You don't like it when Arabic speakers do it either.
Right,
but,
so what I'm saying is if you translate. Yes. It simply is not who can language what this is. You know, if I'm speaking to a hearing deficient person,
why you standing on it?
You know, I don't suddenly start. Whilst I see people who speak with sign language, they do talk as well, but generally they don't. They just sign. But then for some people they're not fully deaf, so they have it or they use it as a form of expression. But the general sign thing doesn't need addition. So to me, when you're translating, that's what you're doing. If a sign language person just was on the news and you could hear them couldn't speak properly and making all the noises, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that that's by the by anyway. All I'm saying is I don't really think there's an issue with him telling you
The Sanskrit word.
The Sanskrit word.
Over and
I just
over.
think that's, well, it's just broader. If someone tells you something once, like how many words in there did he tell you that you can tell me now? The Sanskrit ones. What were? So we've just heard him say over and over again.
The Maya.
Yeah. So you got the Maya, the Shakti, but you know what they are now. The reason why you know what they are is because he said them over and over again, innit? So maybe if you watch another video, he wouldn't need to do that. But if he's trying to teach people about his culture, which ultimately is his goal, then he's gonna have to do that. That's the only way people are going to learn. But regardless of that, what did you think of the video? Yeah, the content.
Well, as I said, it's Hinduism. I'm trying to understand Hinduism. There is an ultimate God, and then there are
entities,
and trinities and all sorts of stuff going off. It sounds like the same language as everybody else. Ultimately, they're talking about
relationship with God.
An extraterrestrial entity of some sort, and then everything after that is someone's take on it. The soul, this, the soul, that. Again, there has to be a soul in Hinduism because they reincarnate. So the soul is central to everything. So that's why there has to be a word that's being repeated and stuff. Whereas
I guess the soul is more important than the body. Just that's the same in other religions. Like the Maya's the material in it, so the Maya's your body. Yeah?
Yeah, the created stuff.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, but what's happening is you don't get to paradise until you get it right, innit? So you come
100%.
back as something else and reincarnate, and then when you get it right, like the cobbler, you just go straight into paradise. So if you get it right first time straight in, if not, you're gonna be there for 100 lifetimes trying to do it.
Yes.
So all of this we're talking about in English now, even though I'm using the word, when you ask me, Maya or whatever, when I say soul, and when I say there's a creator, this and that. So to me, that's speaking in English about it, even though we're still talking about the film. So, as you said, maybe it's to expand the culture and thing.
Well, of course it is.
But for me, it just distracts from the subject.